Alright guys, this is how to work your new head unit. First we're going to start off with this source setup menu. Well, it's not setup, but it's just source. It's this bottom left hand corner, and this is basically what I like to call your home screen. It has all the different options on the radio. Right now I have the headlights on, so you can see the the backlit keys. Basically, starting from left to right, you have a power button, which does let you turn off your unit, or you can use your main volume knob to turn off the unit. Second is rear view camera. That lets you view your camera without being in reverse, if you have one. If not, then it'd probably say no input. Next is your volume. This is a quick way to mute your system without having to turn it down. Say you're at a very loud volume, you can hit the mute here, or mute it here. This seems a little bit faster. You don't have to be in this menu for that. Next is the color of the icons. There's two different colors. Green, and you can have them off, or red. Red matches the steering wheel controls very well. That's what I like to set it on when the headlights are on. Next is the brightness. You see how it's a little bit dim with the headlights on. You can turn the screen off or brighten it back up. This is great during the day or the time where you kind of need headlights but you don't. But at nighttime, this will kind of hurt your eyes if you're looking at the road and then back onto the head unit. Next is a graphic equalizer. It takes a few seconds to boot up, but I'll show you that later on. So now we're going to go down the two sides and start with navigation. This is a cold start of the navigation, so that means I have not used the navigation today and it's got to find its satellites. So this is a good time for you to see how long it takes. This is the console for navigation. It should start by itself. The backbone to this head unit is Windows CE, I believe. So all these are different applications. That's why when you switch from radio to GPS, there's a slight pause in music. But I'll show you a way to get around that. Even though this is a cold start, it starts up very fast. Normal GPSs also have this. They got to find the satellites. But once you have found the satellites, you do not have to go through that wait again until the next time you start your car. This is your navigation menu. You have your main show map feature here. This allows you to view where you're at on the map, or the red highlighted area is your route. To find places, you go to find, and you can go by address, find a place, or find on the map. It also displays your recent two destinations, or you can go to your full history. One of my favorite things about this map, about this section, is actually favorites. Favorites lets you save, say you have a family member's house you go to often, you can click that, or some GPSs let you use a home feature, you can use that also. My route, it lets you go through your current route. You can edit it, overview it, see if there's any avoidances, or cancel your route. Under overview, it basically tells you your whole route. You can zoom in and see what turns, or you can look over here to see how much fuel you're going to use in estimation, and how much carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, I'm not sure about the CO2, you're going to deposit. That's awesome information for friends to know. And then under the more features, you have all these different settings. There's a few different setup menus in this head unit just because it's different applications. So you have settings for the navigation console, and there's a great number. I would suggest going to Start Configuration Wizard. It's like a startup. The first time you use it is what you should do. It lets you set your voices, like
Carefully. Have a nice trip. Drive carefully.
In 50 meters, turn left.
Personally, I like Amy the best. It doesn't announce street names, but that's okay. Then you can go all the way through this yourself. And then you have logs and trip monitors. One of the most interesting things to this setup menu is it'll tell you clothing and country information, Also, if you're in a state that you don't know, you can go to country information, and it'll tell you the average speed limits of the countryside and city side. Back at the navigation, the last two options are this little glass looking thing. It's just a few more settings for your navigation, and you also can power down your navigation. So we'll exit that, and this goes to your console for the navigation, basically a little application inside itself. You have an internet feature, which since we are not hooked to the internet, we can't use. It would be awesome to have a Wi-Fi connection so you could use internet, because Wi-Fi is up and coming everywhere now. Entertainment and setup. Entertainment just has, I'm not sure how to use this feature yet, but it's another way to listen to music. I'm sure if you listen to music through this, it wouldn't pause like you are if you're listening to the radio to navigation. Setup is just another setup menu. There's plenty of these that lets you do touchscreen and all your different times. Next, we're going to move on to the band, which is radio. Now, you have 8 presets on 3 different channels. So that means you have FM1, FM2, and FM3. That's controlled by the bottom left-hand button down here on the screen. It lets you cycle through, and that's also how you get to AM. I don't listen to AM, but I've heard there's great talk shows on there. The next is an hourglass, or a magnifying glass. It lets you search through all your different stations, and it changes your presets for you. This could be helpful or it could not. The next one is the equalizer. It takes a second for it to come on, but once it does, you'll see that it's a bar type system that bounces around, and it looks pretty cool. I believe Auto DVD GPS offers a back glass version of this, so it'll stick to your glass. Like the navigation, this does take a second to come on. It'll pop up eventually. But next is your mute or volume control. You can control your volume from here, but it's kind of hard to get an exact number. So I like using the dial. It helps you get exactly where you're going. The next all had to do with the text up here. I'm not sure, but the AF, the TA, PTV negative, and PT positive all deal with how it scrolls through and whatnot. Back to presets. If you want to set a preset, you can tune into the station this way, and that finds the next station that's broadcasting clearly, or you can tune in by ones, or you can alternatively use the knob and it tunes into the station. So once you found your station that you want to set, you have 8 choices at what slot you want. Click the slot you want and hold it. Once it lights up white, you have set your new preset. Now back to the navigation, how I said it would pause if you're listening to the radio. So you're listening to the radio and you hit navigation. Oh no, there's a pause. Yeah, that can get aggravating, and pause going back, but it's switching applications. So you can defeat that by hitting picture in picture. Right now it's set on my camera, but to change it, you have all the options of the head unit. You hit navigation, and it takes you to this screen, and you hit the back arrow, and it takes you to the navigation console. Now, the only disadvantage to this is you can't click anywhere in here for the navigation, so you already had to be on the screen you won't when you hit picture in picture. 2-zone is a setup between the front half of the car and the back half. Say you have headrest monitors, or you just want to listen to something here and they want to listen to something else. That's how that works. You can set up your 2-zone, but I don't have that set up. I would love to if I had rear monitors, but that's just not an option for my car. Lock and ST, I believe that's a station lock of some sort. And then the source button over here will take you back to the main console area. Mute, we already went over how that's the mute for the whole unit. And source is back where we're at here. Now we're going to skip to the other side of the DVD. This monitor is it's so much better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a low resolution monitor. I don't think it's quite HD, but it's definitely high quality picture. So there's no DVD in here right now, but once you put a DVD in here, it'll load and you can skip through your channel or skip through the chapters and scenes all through the thing right here. You can chapters or scenes, however you like to work it. Auxiliary is one of the many inputs on this radio. I don't have an auxiliary hooked up, but if you did, you can click it right there. We'll go back to the source menu to continue on. Virtual CD. That means, say, there's many head units today that you can put in 6 CDs. What if your friend has a disc that you'd like to use? Well, you can't keep it because it's not yours. So you put it into your radio and you save it to your radio. That's what it means, virtual. So you don't really have it, but you have it. So you're going to play from the memory, and that allows you to have 5 discs saved and 1 disc in the player. I don't listen to CDs much, but I listen to my iPod, so we'll get to that soon. Next, a USB and card go together to a certain extent. You can have a USB flash drive with movies or pictures or music. I know a lot of people store music on flash drives because that's supposed to be the best quality music, or it's equal to CD quality. Card is this slot in the top of the screen. It allows you to have a micro SD card. I believe it's up to 32 gigabytes of music or pictures or videos. Same thing with USB. TV. And this is very awesome. That feature that I want to get is it's a TV tuner. And the people in the United States all know how we had to switch over from analog TV to digital TV. You can get that same style box for your car right here. I think it's like a mobile DTV or something like that. And you put it back or wherever you store it and put your antenna on, and then you'd have TV while you're driving down the road. That could be great for certain people, you know, businessmen that need to know what the weather is that day and don't have time to wake up and watch it. You watch it in the way to work. Radio is the same thing as band. Bluetooth, it says connected, and once it's connected, you can answer calls, end calls, play music, look at your recent calls on the head unit. You can have a dialer here, so you can dial whatever you want. You can go to your settings. This is what I use it for the most, is when you're having music streamed from your phone, it's super quick. Mazda users know that the stock Mazda had a pause in it. I'd say it's about a 1 to 3 seconds delay. This unit has no delay in the Bluetooth. It's awesome. You can hit play, skip tracks, and gain plus and gain negative would be a volume adjust. Not a volume knob, but adjust. We're going to go back to source and go to iPod. It says no device, so I'm going to plug in my iPhone. This is a 4S, so this does support the latest versions. So it's going to load your iPod. And it's going to automatically start out with the first song you have in your playlist in alphabetical order. To get up or through your playlist and whatnot, you have to hit this, looks like book or paper. And this will let you go through. It's kind of difficult to press sometimes if your screen is not perfectly calibrated for your finger, because this bottom options will pop up. But once you get to the top, see, here's all my playlist, so I can look through my playlist and play anything I want. If I want to listen to some of Decaf's music, I can click here. And it's going to go to that next, it's going to go to the display menu that shows the song name and the artist and the album. To go back up, you hit the same page again. I'm using the stylus that came with the radio. It works very well. It does take a little bit of effort to get to the top of the menu. That's why I prefer Bluetooth over the actual iPod cord. I would love to see an iPod by hand mode, which would let you scroll through your music and check it without actually being forced to use the head unit to select songs. Here's the highest you can go. Oh, went right out of it too. The highest you can go, playlist, artist, albums. That just shows you everything that you have in your iPhone or iPod or any Apple device that plugs in. Back to source, you have auxiliary, which is another auxiliary input. It's the same thing as aux over here. And then you have the navigation. Navigation just takes you back over here. So pretty much all these options are available somewhere else on the radio. And next we're going to go through the setup. This is your setup menu. You can get to it by clicking in the top left corner while you're on source, or clicking the volume knob. Now, this is one of my favorite things about this radio. It gets so much louder than stock, but at the same time, it's not a bad sounding loud. Some radios will make it sound nasty. This radio lets you fully use your speakers, especially with the Bose, how they're supposed to be. We paid money for nice speakers. Well, this lets you use them to their full capacity. You have a treble, mid-bass, and bass adjustment. I love the highs. These speakers really shine when you bump the treble all the way up. A little bit of mid-bass and a little bit of bass really brings out the music. You have your fade, which is front and back, and balance, which is left and right here. So if you have somebody that doesn't want to listen to the music as loud in the back, you can fade it to the front right there, or fade it to the back, or balance it, either way. Video isn't a video like DVD changer. It lets you adjust the brightness. Say the screen is too bright for you at night, you can bump down the brightness or change the contrast. I like mine on standard. It's just a normal screen and it appeals to my eye. Next, you have the normal setup. You have the spectrum, which I believe that has to do with the colors. You have key lights, clock ID, voice GPS on. That means if you're driving down the road and you're using the band or any other option on the radio, the GPS will come over your speakers and it will tell you, hey, you have a turn in 400 feet. I won't say that, but it does say 400 feet. Next is your touchscreen. When you first get your head unit, you might notice how it doesn't feel like you're touching exactly where you're touching, and I've seen that before. You basically just use your finger to touch on the red dot, and that lets the screen have a feel for where you're actually clicking at. Once you've clicked all the red dots and have your screen calibrated, you can just exit it right here. Next, you'll move on to the info. This shows you the voltage and a little bit of help from the unit. This doesn't show much, but it does show you, I believe, what version your unit's operating on. Next, you know how the unit displays a certain logo when you turn on the car. You can change this to a variety from BMW to Maserati to even a generic world symbol. That would be pretty nice if you didn't want it to look as factory. Detection. System on by back, which that means it turns itself on in reverse. So if you have your unit powered down for whatever reason and you shift into reverse, it will automatically come up with your rearview camera. Next is your backup detection. Just like the same thing as system on by back, it automatically knows when you put your vehicle into reverse and it turns on your rearview camera. Next would be lamp detection. Lamp detection is when you turn on your headlights, whether it dims the radio or not. So if you have the lamp detection on, it automatically dims your radio down to save your eyes. Brake detection would tell the radio if you're hitting the brakes or not. I'm not sure what features come from that, but it could be helpful down the road. Function. The only option you have here is the buzzer on or off. That means when you key on, if it has a little buzz to it or not. Not a vibration, but a audible buzz. System. Now, you have three options here. Your language, time adjust, and reset. Language, that's great because it comes with all the main languages preset in it. You can change it back and forth very easy. This is Spanish. Time adjust, it's in the 24-hour time format. So it does take a little conversion to get there. But say if you want to change the time a little bit, you can click it, and whatever the red is what you're actually changing. You can go up or you can go down. Next is a full system reset. That's if you're having some issues or you can't figure out how to get your unit back to where you had it if you change something. You can click that or press this little pin button right here. Next is probably the most important feature to me. Steering wheel controls. So if you're like me and you're curious about the unit, you may accidentally clear all the codes that it comes preset. Now, even if you know them, you can't just type them in. So, say we want to set the volume down. You'll click the volume down. Next, you hit start and hold down the volume down button or whatever option you're choosing. So, if you're going to do volume up, you click the function, hit start, and hold volume up. And it says done. Choose next function. So, this is overall how to work your unit. Sorry for the mid-clip split, but my battery died and it might be a little bit glary here, but if you have any questions, feel free to comment or message and I'll be able to get back with you with this radio and show you whatever you need to know. Thank you.